Today I will explain a film from 1994, titled Speed. Spoilers ahead. Enjoy the content. A security guard checked the basement and found a repairman who said he was just checking the wiring. But the man told him he shouldn't be there and the repairman stabbed him. A meeting ends at work, when the employees go to the elevator. Someone anonymous inside the building pressed a button and the cable holding the elevator broke. The elevator started to collapse. Police arrived at the scene to help. Lieutenant Mack informed his team that 13 passengers were trapped in the elevator below the 30th floor. The suicide bomber is demanding $3.7 million or else he will blow up the elevator's emergency brake. The police realized that they had 23 minutes left to intervene. They could only access the interior of the building through access panels and elevator doors that had been wired to place bombs. Officer Jack and Detective Harry volunteered to check. Since the nearest access board was on the 32nd floor, they rushed there and entered the shaft to find it at the top of the elevator. The people inside worriedly asked what was going on. Jack and Harry tell them they work for the LAPD and handle the situation and say it was just an incident. Meanwhile, the suicide bomber, Howard, listened intently to their conversation. Harry asks Jack what he would do if a gunman used a hostage as cover at the airport as he walked towards the plane and Jack was hundreds of yards away. He said he would shoot hostages, to prevent the shooter from boarding the plane and injuring the rest of the passengers. Harry thinks Jack is crazy. Jack tries to help the passengers by devising a strategy to get them out of the equation, so there's no leverage for Howard. He hung upside down with a cable and attached hooks to the elevator. Howard heard them and slammed on the brakes. Elevator passengers tumbling and panicking. The attached jack hook is connected to a crane, which, due to the great pressure, collapses causing the elevator to fall before getting stuck again. Drills opens the access board and reaches out to the panicked passengers. He proceeded to leave the passengers one by one. In particular, a woman was extremely scared but they also saved her. Jack realizes that the suicide bomber is inside the building. They knew he was hiding in the freight elevator and tried to sneak up on him but he opened fire on Jack and Harry. In the end, Howard cornered them in the elevator and taunted Jack for taking Harry hostage. They get out of the elevator and due to desperate circumstances, Jack shoots Harry in the leg. Howard blows this place up. Harry and Jack receive the Medal of Courage for their bravery and service at an official ceremony. They are appreciated for saving 13 citizens in the elevator. Howard is said to have died in the explosion of his own bomb, but he actually watched the ceremony on television, clapping mockingly. The police celebrate their success. They realize that they were lucky to get away with it because Howard might have blown them up. Then Harry went home. In Santa Monica, Jack drinks coffee and muffins. He is talking to a friend who drives a bus. Then, as he was about to leave, his bus suddenly exploded. He ran after the bus and felt confused. A nearby phone booth rings. When Jack picked up the phone, Howard answered on the other end of the line. He said he spent 2 years working on the elevator, only to fail. He says he has an insane level of commitment. He gets Jack's attention by blowing up the bus. He insisted on taking his $3.7 million. He asked Jack what he would do if a bus had a bomb. The bomb explodes if the speed drops below 50 miles per hour and is detonated when the bus reaches that speed for the first time. Jack said he wanted to know which bus it was. Howard tells him to follow the rules and shows him the location of the bus. He also ordered him that no passengers should get off the bus or he would detonate the bomb and he needed the money before 11 a.m. A woman named Annie hurried to get on a bus connecting downtown Venice. Jack drove at full speed to chase the bus. Inside the bus, everyone was calm and collected. Their main concern is to reach their destination on time as they have to slow down due to traffic. Jack nervously chased the bus and eventually got out as he ran towards the bus. He tries to tell them to stop. He had trouble trying to contact the LAPD but they didn't stop the bus. Jack forcefully took a stranger's car and recklessly followed the bus. Meanwhile, the bus went over 50 miles per hour, arming the bomb. Jack shouted at the driver that there was a bomb on the bus and asked him to run at over 50 miles per hour. He contacts Harry and informs him that the suicide bomber is still alive. Jack tries to get on the bus and tries to tell everyone about the current situation. A man points a gun at him. Jack pulls a gun in self-defense. In the end, he put it away and tried to control the situation. As the man with the gun calmed down, a passenger, Ortiz, attempted to control him. The gun was fired and it hit the driver, seriously injuring him. Jack made it clear to the passengers that there was a bomb on the bus. Annie steers the wheel and the police prepare for action as they take off on the helicopter. Howard was excited to watch everything unfold on television. Jack and Harry talk on the phone as Jack explains the bomb's configuration. A large amount of C4, 3 triggers and timers are housed on the gold wristwatch. When they tried to stay over 50 miles per hour, they had to go through a lot of difficulties. Annie tries her best to move the bus forward. Howard listened attentively to the news channels and at the same time watched American football, enjoying it to the fullest. Harry and his colleagues discuss bombers and realize that he knows a lot about bombs, each time using a different design rather than sticking to a specific type. He also tends to know all the countermeasures of the police. Harry took this as a suggestion and decided to look at police records for the past 10 years. Mac sits inside a helicopter and instructs Jack so they can safely reach the police units and get the help they need. A very sharp turn occurred but Jack and the passengers balanced the bus and managed to get around. The police agency prepares to rescue passengers at one end as the bus follows the marked route. Jack appreciates Annie because she helped drive the bus in this difficult situation. She asked why the suicide bomber was after them. Jack tells her that he is actually after him. He was fascinated by games with the authorities. If Jack can save everyone today, there will be another match tomorrow, and so on. Harry orders his colleagues to check the pension fund, as he suspects the suicide bomber is disabled. He may not be the LAPD but he is nearby. He thinks he's seen it before. Mac and the authorities arrived and somehow managed to get the passengers out. Jack tells them that they cannot get the passengers off the bus because he will see them and detonate the bomb. Mac tells him it's likely he's a cop. Howard called Jack. He negotiates with Howard and succeeds in getting the injured driver off the bus. A woman on the bus named Helen became desperate and tried to jump off to get to the authorities safely, but Howard blew up the front end of the bus. The woman fell and appeared to get under the bus. The passengers got worried and started arguing. Dramatic situation. Jack checks on Annie and comforts her when she is devastated. She is happy to be alive but at the same time feels guilty. Jack tells her not to feel guilty because if Helen comes down, Howard will kill them all. Mac informs Jack that unfortunately, there is a 50-foot gap in the road because the highway is not finished. Jack decided they should keep driving over 50 miles because it was an intersection so it might have points. He ordered everyone on the bus that when they reached the clearing, they had to keep their heads down. When they reached the unfinished part of the interchange, they flew over it and miraculously landed on the other side. Everyone was happy and they congratulated each other. Jack guides Annie to the exit that leads to the air cargo terminal at Los Angeles International Airport. They went to the airport because the helicopter couldn't follow them there and so Howard couldn't keep up to date. Howard and Jack are on the phone when he asks for money and insists that he has earned it. He tells Jack that he also received a medal, along with a pink slip and an apology for his hand injury. Jack convinces Howard to let him off the bus alone, so he can talk directly to the authorities about Howard's demands. He allows it, telling Jack to turn around quickly and not to walk past him. Jack told Annie to keep circling the airport's runway while he was away. He contacts Mac, who offers to get the passengers out but Jack fears he will blow up the bus, knowing that he is always one step ahead of them. He decided that he had to dismantle the bomb. Everyone on the bus was wondering what was going on. Mac tells Jack they won't be able to settle down for long. He said he only needed a few minutes. Harry is contacting him by phone. A cable was attached to Jack as he slid under the bus while lying on a mechanic's vines. He works to defuse the bomb with Harry's help and guidance. They realized they couldn't get past it because it was a switchable circuit. Authorities find out the identity of the suicide bomber, a man named Howard Payne, who worked for the Atlanta Police Bomb Squad and retired in 1989, due to a petty crime that resulted in the amputation of 9 fingers. Harry and his colleagues decide to go after him. Jack got stuck under the bus and kept changing direction. Suddenly there was a broken cable and it got risky. Jack managed to hold on tight, and in doing so he punctured the gas tank. Annie panics thinking she has crushed him. He barely held back when Ortiz opened the bus deck and got him out. Jack tells Mac to get help with the gas tank problem. Harry and his team invade Howard's house. He tricked them by placing a bomb in the house. When it detects them, it turns off. Harry is killed in the process. Jack gets a call, he thinks it's Harry, but Howard answers. He informs Jack that Harry is dead. He sarcastically guessed that the watch he attached to the bomb, which had been a retirement gift, had led Harry to him. He threatens him again, saying that if he doesn't get the money they will all die. While talking, he treats Annie as a feral cat. He mentioned a place to deposit money. Jack noticed Annie's University of Arizona shirt. He realized that when he called the Wildcat, he was referring to Annie. This means he can see inside the bus. It has video footage but no sound. Jack tells everyone to look normal and look ahead. They recorded a video of the bus's seemingly monotonous surroundings. Mac stops press and loops bus tape. Howard is temporarily deceived. Meanwhile, the authorities were able to get everyone out of the car safely. Jack and Annie were the only ones left. They locked the gas pedal and finally got out, using the bus deck opening plate as a fulcrum underneath. The bus crashed into a cargo plane and exploded. Loud and violent explosions occurred as passengers watched from a distance. Jack and Annie are safe and happy. Mac checks them. They get medical care. Howard called again asking for money. They realized that he didn't know the bomb went off. Mac says they will bring the money in 30 minutes. Authorities arrived at Howard's location and covered the entire area. Jack and Annie are in the ambulance. Jack comes out and says he will be back. The authorities placed a can of paint spray with the money. Sanitation workers put the bags in the trash. Howard noticed the authorities lurking in different places with guns aimed at the collection point. He tries to plant a bomb on the bus but realizes he's been tricked by the repeating tape playing on the television. He pretends to be a cop and takes Annie away. Meanwhile, authorities are wondering where he is as the money has not been collected. Jack knows he's never late. It is revealed that he has received the money and is on the move, when Jack finds a hole under the trash can from which he escaped. Jack finds Annie in an underground area of the subway with bombs all over her. Howard shows up and asks her to fill her pocket with money. Jack tells her to take the money and leave Annie alone. Howard spoke coldly of how bombs are made to explode. He ends up leaving with her. He continues to terrorize people by shooting and accompanying her on the subway. Jack manages to board the train in time. Howard kills the driver. He tortures Annie with his callous speech, telling her it would hurt less if the bomb went off. He finds the paint can in his pocket and becomes frustrated. Jack and Howard fight one-on-one on the roof of the train. His head hit the railway signal and he fell. Mac informs Jack that the upcoming race is not over yet. They couldn't stop the train and had to jump. The situation became denser when Annie was handcuffed to a pole. They tried to free her but failed. Jack decided to speed up the train and pick it up when it arrived. They sat hugging each other. The train reached the bend and broke into pieces. The part containing them lands outside the construction area, on the road. They happily passed by and started kissing as everyone was mesmerized by how they survived. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.